Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Den, and I just want to thank you for joining us. And we're here. My name is Charlie Alviar, and we want to deal with some situations concerning present, past hurts, even among believers. And you would figure and you would think that in a perfect world, as Christians, we wouldn't go through anything, but that's not true. Because if that was the case, then Jesus would have had a crown of thorns. They wouldn't have tried to stone him. I can go on and on. So that's not a perfect world, but yet, he endured and always looked to the Father for help. But what do we do in this modern time of 2023 at this moment? I know that happened during crisis time, but what about us? What about me? What about you? How do we deal with it? What is it that we deal with it? Why do we deal with it? And how we can base that situation and that hurt and apply it biblically so that you can be healed. Because hurt, when it happens in the inside, only God can heal. You can't medicate it. You can't use synthetics. No matter what you do in life, you cannot prosper yourself out of hurt. No matter what happens, healing comes from the inside, and only God can heal from the inside. And so joining me today is Jason Alviar. He's born again. He loves the Lord. And he has a very unique perspective concerning Generation Z, the millennials, and people that are in, young men and women that are really trying to find identity, acceptance. They don't want to feel isolated. And it's amazing, but the church is by and large neglected this kind of a people when the Lord told us to go into all the world. And so I like the way Jason expresses this situations concerning this particular topic. And so it's gonna be like a kind of question and answer. There's no really a set format. We don't want to constrict ourselves to where, this is the way it's got to be done. No, we're just going to follow the leading of the Holy Spirit and then let God do what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, whenever he wants to do it. And with that in mind, Jason, greet the people and tell us something,
Yeah, sure. My name is Jason Alviar. I've been raised in the church since a child. And 40 years old now, so I might have learned a thing or two in life experience. And the word says, raise a child in the ways of the Lord, and they'll never depart from his heart. And I've had my own situations, own hurts, trials, growing up. It's not easy being human, period, whether you're saved or not. We're not exempt from that. Even Jesus himself said, in this world you will have trouble. But praise be to God, he also said after that, I've also overcome the world, and I've deprived it from power. So we have that promise is, things are going to happen, but we have a solution. And that's my background, is growing in what the Bible says, growing in grace, the gospel, which is what grace is. Growing in knowledge and learning, experiencing life, what it is, what it feels like. Seeing things change, culture change, things aren't the same. What it's like to be a single man, 40, still single, and it's a unique perspective, seeing how things have changed over years, teenager to young adult to middle-aged. And just learning what whatever God will speak, I want to learn. I want to know. Not only for my sake, but God has a way of bringing people to me. I don't ask for it, but there they are. They're hurting. They need help. And I know only God can do it.
Yes. So let me ask you this, Jason. If someone that you know within the either millennials or Generation Z or any generation for that matter, what do you think is the number one issue when they're dealing with hurt? What do you think it would be?
Approval. That's what it comes down to. Is that's the problem with, and I don't call it a problem as in it's something to look down on. It's something that we need to help. Is that they're looking for identity. You mentioned that earlier. They're looking for where they fit in. Who am I? What am I? Why am I even here? And a lot of that will turn into hurt and bitterness, and then they'll start looking for something to find approval in, something to be a part of, even if it is something unhealthy for them. I'd say that's the number one issue, is the acceptance, the approval, knowing that I matter and people care about me.
Wow. Do you feel that maybe also when you're dealing with people, do they have a sense of I have no future? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's common. And feel free, listeners, if you want to Google it yourself, there are stats out there of the rise in suicide rate.
Yep.
It's exponential is the only word for it, because it's not just a linear progression of, a little more each year. No, it's some years doubled. It's bad. And a lot of that has to do with, why am I even trying?
Yeah.
Why? You wake up, why bother? You go to sleep, it's just going to be there waiting for me the next morning. And I have a friend who's 46 years old. They're experiencing the same issue. I have a friend who's 18. They're experiencing the same issue. It's something we all deal with of, why am I even here? And why do I feel like I don't belong anywhere? And they'll look for it wherever they can find it, whether it's good or bad. They're searching.
What do you think is the most popular thing that they're looking for to try to medicate that hurt? What do you think? What would that be? What would that look like?
You heard me sigh, because with social media, it's easily accessible to find someone, some group, some team to be a part of. But the number one thing that supersedes all of them is some kind of, I don't know, it's this word that kind of got created, and I know our younger listeners probably have heard it before. It's called a situationship. Sounds weird, but it's a mix of friendship and relationship, to the point that only one person gets the benefit of love and affection, but no responsibility for the other person's feelings, no obligation to them. It's a one-sided situation. And the other person, the one who's looking for acceptance, love, value, is being made to feel like they don't matter, but they're trying to invest in someone anyway, thinking that's how this works.
God.
And that's the number one thing I'm seeing an increase in, is these mixed, we're just friends, but we flirt on the phone. We're just friends, but we'll say things to each other that only people in relationships should say. Good morning, sweetie. Have a great day. This playing house with no responsibility. And if something breaks down, the other person who is getting all the benefits says, well, we weren't a thing anyway. I told you I wasn't looking for anything serious. And now you have a hurt person who is looking for love. And just like this other individual, God help them, they were looking for the same too. They just happened to get on the better side of it, at the expense of someone else, at the expense of someone else's feelings. So groups are big, but that's the deepest thing they'll look for. And they don't even realize they're in it until it's too late.
Jeez.
Because they thought they were just being friends, and now they're in a situation where they're just hurting all the time because they're made to feel like they're not good enough to be with this person, because I'm not looking for a relationship. But please keep investing in me because I want love too.
That's very unique. I didn't know that was happening. I really didn't.
It's honestly never existed previously.
Oh.
If we're looking in the Bible, if we're looking in the way relationships and friendships were, they were always two separate things.
Yeah.
You're either a friend or you're something else.
Yeah.
Not this weird mixture of, you're such a good friend, let me send you a flirty message. Wait, what? Huh? That's not normal. That's... Immediately, there's a term floating around called a red flag, meaning a stop sign. Whoa, something's off, something's wrong. Red flag. That's what that is. So if you ever hear that, listener, pray about it. Protect yourself, guard your heart, because you could be involved in something you do not want to be involved in, because no one wins in that situation. There's a reason the Bible refers to friendship as friendship and relationship as relationship, and not some weird mixture of the two. Because you can't put new wine into old wineskins, as the Bible says.
Yep.
Same thing with friendship. You can't put relationship into a friendship. You can't put friendship into a relationship. They are different things. One has more feelings, more connection, more responsibilities, more caring of the other person's feelings, and one is casual. It's fine. It's okay. We'll go to the movies. We'll hang out. We'll have fun. We'll laugh because we're friends.
Yeah.
But this other side of it lately has started to leak because people are hurting and they're looking for more. Sometimes a friend isn't good enough. I need to feel love. And they'll reach out to someone who's made them feel something like that.
Man, that's an oxymoron, man. It's bad, There's no identification, like you said.
There's no label on it.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend who, and I laugh at it, but this is how warped the time has become with the culture and the way people refer to each other, is that they won't say, oh, but we're not dating, we're not together, we're just friends with feelings. It's the weirdest thing I have ever heard in my life. I'm 40 years old. When it comes to relationship and friendships, it's clearly defined for a reason. But commitment's a problem. You don't want to put yourself at risk. You've been hurt. I don't want to get hurt again. Okay. Obviously, God has some work to do on you for you to allow yourself to open up again. But they won't do that. They'll look for the situation of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I get what I want. They don't really get what they want, but who cares? I'm doing good.
Wow. This is very insightful. Wow. If this kind of thing is not brought out in the church, we will never know how people feel, what they feel, what they're thinking, how they're thinking. It's very deep, very unique. And the only way to do it is like what you were talking about. You spend time with them and whatever, and you start seeing their ideas. And like, Lord, this is really, it's an oxymoron. That's all I can say.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But that's what's happening.
Wow. So let me ask you this: now that you have identified the situation at hand and what people are going through, young people, singles, those in their 30s, 40s, millennials, it doesn't matter. What are the steps I can take, biblically speaking, to get me on the right path and do things like God tells me to do, so that I can be whole, successful, and have meaningful relationship?
Well, I'm going to use a friend I've been talking to. She's been through a lot, past trauma, some abuse. And anyone who's ever been, if you're listening, if you've ever been through that, it's understandable that maybe your view on relationships and friendships might be skewed. It might be a little off, and there's nothing to feel bad about that. You have a wound that hasn't healed. And it's a wound that only God can heal. No other friend, no other relationship will do that. All those will do is leave it open, cause it to fester, and anyone knows a wound that festers long enough will kill you.
Yeah.
It will kill your spirit. It will kill your will to continue. And with this individual, She found herself in a situation funnily enough,
Wow.
with this individual. They're separated by states, so there's an even further distance to not feel responsibility. But her situation in this is that, she's recovering from a failed relationship. She was in it for 6 years. Her significant other, and they believe in marriage. She's a believer, according to her, what she says, is he never proposed to her. I don't know why. She never told me that, but according to her, it made her feel unwanted and unworthy of marriage. So there's a huge wound. And she broke off the relationship. This is roughly about a year ago. And ever since then, it's needed to be closed. And because it hasn't, she found herself making friends with other men and not being able to form healthy friendships with other men. So far, I'm the only one, as far as I know, because I refuse to engage in that kind of behavior. Not because I think there's anything wrong with it, but because that's not the Jesus in me.
Yeah.
It's just not. When Jesus goes into a friendship with someone, it's a friendship. When he enters into the relationship of the bride being us as the Christ, it's a different thing. So same thing with her. She, has some substance issues, drinking, even though she's a believer. They're looking for something to fill that space that only God can fill. And anything will do, as long as they don't have to feel it for a night, for a minute. Let me drink and go to sleep and forget about it. It's going to be waiting for you in the morning.
Yeah.
This is how addictions increase. It's not because of an addictive nature. It's because there's something that needs healing, and you're trying to medicate it over and over and over. So my advice to her was to fall deeper into the faith, because it's something that obviously a friend can't heal.
Yeah.
A relationship cannot heal. How do I know that? Look at your last relationship. She had an issue with another guy earlier this year where things blew up. He called her a lot of things, very hurtful things. So she's already hurting, and now she's being hurt more because this wound still hasn't healed. When the wound doesn't heal in this situation, you're putting yourself in more situations to be wounded again and over and over. And I don't know if anyone's been in a bad situation where you're constantly being hurt over and over again. There's a breaking point, and it's bad. And for some people, it's permanent, where they do something very awful and they don't survive. It's serious, and it needs to be healed. So my recommendation for her was listen to sermons, listen to these pastors who are Bible-based, who believe in the grace of God, who believe in Jesus specifically. You can say God all you want, but which God are you talking about? Mine gave me his name, Jesus Christ. And so that was my advice to her and to anyone else who knows they need healing from the past, from anything, abuse, psychological abuse, being told, look what you're making me do. You're the one making me crazy. I'm going to do this and it's going to be your fault. That is psychological abuse, and that is never okay in a friendship or relationship. She had to deal with that recently, this past weekend. And I was helping her, but now she's... This is the whole point of this, is that I can't save you, only God can. Because I thought she was getting better. She said she was starting to listen to more sermons. This person she had a blow up with has a drinking issue. He was in the hospital getting sobered. It's literally yesterday I see that he's back online, I guess, so to speak, in her life. And I'm no longer hearing from her again, meaning it's happening again. And this is after, telling her of what's needed, but what do you do with that? And that's where we sometimes have to realize we can't keep doing the same thing over and over. When are we going to learn? Look what happened the past few times, 3 times of being abused and spoken down to and being treated like complete garbage, being stepped on, and then coming back to it. That's not real love.
Yeah.
The Bible tells us what love is, that it's patient, it's kind. It loves you in the midst of your flaws, not asking you to change them. It says, I love you anyway.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're going through. I don't care if you were angry yesterday. I don't care if you feel nothing matters. All I care about is you. In every situation, in your worst moment, love says, I love you anyway. And that's where I'm at with that, is I tried. I did everything I could that God gave me to say to help her see the situation she's in, that the person she's talking to is frankly poison. Kind of like the nest of vipers that was in the church. Well, hey, Jesus is a perfect example. He threw them out.
Yeah.
What makes you think you can't throw this person out too? He did it. He knew what he had to do. He had to get them out of his house.
Yeah.
It's okay to get poison out of your house. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to feel guilty, even if this person makes you feel guilty about it. You're abandoning me. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're living out Jesus in your own life, and you have to get the vipers out of your house. There's nothing wrong with saving yourself from poison and letting God give you the courage to do it. So she's back in it. I haven't heard from her since yesterday. I hope she's okay. Praying for her. But that's the point of all of it, is I can't save you. Only God can. Only the love of Jesus can save you. And that's a prayer daily, is by the grace of God. The hurting can really let themselves open up to God, because he's not going to look down on you.
Right.
He's not going to judge you. He's not going to hear something you think is cool and be like, oh, that's stupid. No. If it's important to you, it's important to him.
Yes.
He's never going to abandon you. He's never going to take things you say to him and turn around and use them against you in anger and dump them back on you, saying, look at your past trauma, that's your fault. He'll never do that to you.
Right.
You can tell him everything. He'll listen. He'll accept it. And even in your worst moment, he'll say, I'm proud of you. I love you. And there's nothing you can do that can ever make me stop. You're never going to find a better partner, a spouse, a husband, a wife, than the Spirit of God living inside you. This spirit you have will never fail you. It'll never let you down. And you can trust it in every situation. And if you find yourself going back to things that keep hurting you, try it. I challenge you, try. Open up. Speak it out, even if you don't think it's going beyond the ceiling. He's with you anyway. He's never left. He said in the Bible, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Meaning, he's there in this moment, right now. And you can cry out to him. You can speak to him however you want. He loves you anyway. He approves of you anyway. You can be honest. You can be brutally honest about everything you've done and every situation you've been in. And he's not going to think one bit less of you.
Right.
If anything, he's going to be grateful that you're even talking to him. Because frankly, if you haven't talked to God in a while, he's missing you.
Yes.
It's a relationship. It's not a contract anymore. It's not an agreement of do's and don'ts.
Yes.
That's why Jesus came. He just wanted his family back. And you have access like a family. Because whenever you need something, you have it. Blood was shed so you could have it. A life was ended so you could have access. Jesus Christ died on the cross in your place, for you, as you, so you could have his position with the Father. You now sit at the right hand of the throne, because in the book of John it says, as he is, so are we in this world.
Wow, time sure flies. Man, this is awesome. This is wonderful information. Well, the gospel is life-changing. People are really going through things, and there's a way out. And Jason just explained to you how to, what is it that you go through and how to get out. And because really, without this, without you doing what he has instructed you to do, it's game over, you know. And but there is hope in Jesus, and we thank God for that. Jason, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you for joining. We're going to have many podcasts like this in different topics. We're going to promote this and then get feedback from people, see what kind of topics they would like to hear, you know, and things like that, because I didn't know, like what he was talking about, that friendship. Wow, that was amazing. What is it called?
Situationship.
Situationship.
Feel free to look it up. It's
oh my God, that's
straight from the devil. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, man.
It is.
It is. Wow, you know, and when people don't serve God and don't get it in His Word and things like that, I mean, you're gonna fall for it because there's nothing to identify the wrong thing about it, you know. So, anyways. Be on the lookout. We're gonna produce a link for this, and we're going to push it out and promote it. So because there's a lot of people hurting, and if you don't, you know, and like he was saying, you know, the suicide rate and now fentanyl, and I mean it's crazy. People want a way out and don't know how to get out, you know, and so we want to. Offer this to you as an ability to shed light in how to get out. And so we're just so thankful to God for this. Okay, until then, you be on the lookout. We're going to, like I said, do more of these. And so we will give you, eventually we will give you the link of where you can see this or actually hear us. We're going to work on to where you can actually see us as we do the interviews. And so we're very thankful. All right, this is Brother Charlie, and then this is Jason. And we are signing off from the den.